But what is this place? The answer is Sakaar.
Welcome to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and Bruce Banner is going to space.
I got some things I gotta take care of.
I'm here to explain the ship that he's on, where he's headed, and explain how all of this connects to Phase 6, and I'm also going to lay out a pretty badass movie idea about where all this is going. Last week we shared an explainer video about the alien ship that popped up in episode 1. So I'm going to recap some of the things that we talked about last week, but like very briefly. So if you are a friend of the channel and you already saw that video, don't worry, this won't take long. Bruce tells us that this ship was
Sakaarian Class A courier craft.
And it does match the Grandmaster's party yacht that he flew in Ragnarok.
Grandmaster uses it for his good times, orgies and stuff.
Did you just say the Grandmaster used it for orgies?
So you'll remember that in Thor Ragnarok, the Hulk had been living on a planet called Sakaar for 2 years. The planet is covered in Einstein rosen-bridges, or wormholes, that people across the universe use to dump their trash into. So Sakaar is kind of a miserable place to live. It's like a combination of Lotho Minor and every redneck's front yard. But people on Sakaar don't mind that their planet is a trash heap because they mostly care about the gladiator game, the Contest of Champions. The games are run by the planet's ruler, the Grandmaster.
Hey, Sparkles, here's the deal. Any contender who defeats my champion, their freedom they shall win.
So just as the Romans appeased the masses with games in the Colosseum, the Grandmaster uses his position as emperor to line his own pockets and distract the poor with sports. So Hulk was a perfect fit on this planet and became the #1 celebrity, and I'm guessing he probably laid more pipe than a Delta trencher. One thing I love about this show is how it takes these larger-than-life, almost mythological heroes and it places them in ordinary circumstances. I love stories like this, which is one of the reasons I love playing Dislight. They're the sponsor of this video. Now, I've been playing Dislight since last May, but they have just introduced a new, much stronger character who is a literal game changer. Dislight is a trendy, futuristic mythology RPG where a global cataclysm brings all the ancient gods into our world, but, slightly changed into trendy, futuristic myths called espers. Like Anubis is a kendo expert, and Odin is a motorcycle rider woman. So this is a turn-based RPG where you create your own Esper squad and fight alongside other players from around the world. And there are other gods from Norse, Chinese, Egyptian, and Greek mythology. But now they have just launched a new Esper, Zeus Awakens! Zeus is my favorite Esper in the game. He's king of the gods. He was one of the first Espers to gain power and form the Esper Union, which is key to solving these miracles that are happening around the world. So Zeus is focused, he's low-key, discreet, and my favorite Esper in the game. See, Zeus is an incredibly powerful DPS Esper who can switch from his normal state to God King. Just like in Myth, he can control all the power of thunder. And best of all, he's the only hero with this God King mode, which makes him way more powerful than almost any other Esper. So, if you would like to support our channel, use the link in the description to download Dislight, summon Zeus, and use the code EsperUnion to unlock free gifts. Even if you've already downloaded the game, hit our link in the description and the next to see you for extra homecoming gifts. Back to She-Hulk. When Thor, Loki, and Banner escape the planet, it gives the revolutionaries a chance to rise up.
The revolution has begun.
And in the Ragnarok post-credit scene, we see that the Grandmaster has indeed been captured.
Because I've been a big part of it. Can't have a revolution without somebody to overthrow. So, you're welcome. And it's a tie.
Now, Thor Ragnarok was a very loose adaptation of the great comic book Planet Hulk. In that book, the Illuminati send Bruce to space, where he ends up as a gladiator on planet Sakaar. Except in the comic, he leads a revolution against the Red King. He gets married, and then he becomes a widow when his pregnant wife dies in a bomb blast that kills thousands of people. Hulk blames the Illuminati for this bomb, so he goes back to Earth to get his revenge, and that is the story called World War Hulk. It's an endless stream of Banner taking down everyone in the Marvel Universe, and we've heard rumors for a while that there's going to be a Planet Hulk movie, and this scene all but confirms it. So in the comic, it turned out that Hulk's unborn son lived. How? Old magic, germinated in a swamp.
Secrets only the Sith knew.
Doesn't matter. And the son became a warrior named Sakaar, with a K and 2 A's. In our video last week, I theorized that Sakaar would eventually join the Young Avengers, who should be joining the MCU any freaking day now after years of setup. Now, our video last week was pretty general, just vague ideas on what could happen in this movie. But now, I want to get into specifics. First, let's talk about Sakaar. There is no way the Grandmaster is still in charge of this planet. This is the kind of guy who does not inspire the loyalty of the masses. So, once he's out of power and behind bars, some other warlord would take his place. And besides, the Thor Ragnarok Daryl short showed that the Grandmaster was living in Australia.
The Grandmaster was the only one who answered my Craigslist ad.
Imagine that. I was the only one. Well, lucky me.
So I think that a new leader has taken over Sakaar. The Grandmaster might appear in this movie, but I doubt it. And I also don't think that a democracy would have sprang up on Sakaar, because that makes for a really boring story.
I love democracy.
And usually violent revolutions to overthrow tyrants usually create more tyrants. In the comics, it was a warlord named Axeman Bone, but then the Hulk's son Sakaar defeated him. So if we're looking at possible candidates to take over Sakaar, the #1 person has to be the son of Hulk, Sakaar. And there's no need for his origin to make him into a swamp baby. Like I said, the big guy got around.
But wouldn't the son just be like, I don't know, like 7 years old?
No, because time works differently on Sakaar.
On any other world, I'd be like millions of years old. But here on Sakaar,
That means time moves slower.
But also Loki has been on the planet for weeks before Thor shows up. So time also moves faster on the planet. So Sakaar could, in theory, be whatever age the story needs him to be.
And you think he's going to be the leader because he's the strongest?
No. I think Sakaar is going to rule Sakaar because he is the strongest and the smartest.
Sakaar, you lead the charge. But not until... Sakaar lead good!
Remember, he is the son of both the Hulk and Bruce Banner, so he'll inherit Banner's intelligence, but he won't have another guy to wrestle with. He'll be all intellect and muscle. Sakaar, with his high intellect, will make Sakaar into one of the greatest empires in the universe.
Explain.
Well, think about it. Sakaar is surrounded by wormholes. Now, during the Grandmaster's rule, everyone thought these wormholes were one way, that people only use them to dump their trash into. That is, until Heimdall told Thor that the gateways went both ways.
I don't even know where the hell I am. We're in a planet surrounded by doorways. Go through one.
Which one?
The big ones.
And Heimdall would know because his only job on Asgard was to guard a wormhole every day. And the Devil's Anus is the most powerful wormhole that could take Thor basically anywhere he wanted in the universe. So what if Sakaar, using his superior intellect, works out the potential of Sakaar? Think about it. This planet is now the transportation hub of the universe. It's like a galactic teleporter. Sakaar could charge a hefty tax to anybody wanting to travel through their world. And then people would stop and spend their money on Sakaar. They'd get gas, they'd get food.
I see a place where people get on and off the freeway.
And then the government uses all that tax money to buy weapons and build one of the most advanced militaries in the universe. This would be a necessity because every empire, from the Kree, the Skrulls, Xandar, and the Shi'ar, would want to control this hub for themselves. Imagine Sakaar is like planet Arrakis and Dune. Dune is the only planet capable of producing a substance called spice, which is the key to interstellar travel. And Sakaar is like the Middle East, sitting on top of that sweet, sweet bubbling crude that helps people get around the galaxy. And because time moves differently on Sakaar, the planet would have ages to build up its planetary defenses before any invasion force could come at them. And by the way, I think that the wormholes are also the reason why time works different on Sakaar. All this bending and folding of space-time would disrupt the way time works on this planet. Alright, so in our last video, I guessed that Sakaar would become a young Avenger. Now, I'm not so sure. I think it's more likely that he can end up being much older than Bruce.
Wait a minute. An older Hulk who's stronger, faster? Are you talking about...
Yes, Doug, Maestro. Maestro is a villain from the comics who is a future version of Bruce Banner who has basically turned evil and conquered the world. He is by far the deadliest foe that Hulk has ever faced because he has all of Banner's strengths and none of his weaknesses. If Maestro is leading this planet, then Sakaar would have spread its influence into the greater galaxy.
So why would they send for Bruce?
Well, I think there's a couple reasons they would have sent for Banner. One, maybe Sakaar is ruling the planet and he resents his old man for abandoning him and he just wants to show off how powerful he is. Or two, maybe the people on Sakaar want to overthrow Sakaar, so they send for his daddy to help. Or three, some other planet sends for Hulk so he can defend them against his own son. Now maybe Sakaar is not the bad guy of the movie and he just wants his dad's help. Here's a fun theory. What if the actual bad guy of the movie is Maestro, is a version of Bruce Banner from the future, and he can exist on Sakaar because time moves differently on that planet? Now that's a lot of fun. So besides Sakaar and Maestro, there are a few cosmic characters who I think will definitely be in this movie. So Sakaar / Maestro would have definitely kept the Contest of Champions running because it makes the people happy. Also, with Sakaar becoming a travel hub, the ticket prices for these games would be through the roof. In fact, they would have to expand the games and the planet would be littered with stadiums. So this kind of high-profile combat would attract the greatest fighters in the Marvel Universe, including Gladiator from the Shi'ar Imperial Guard, the champion of the universe.
That's his name?
Yep, that's his name.
Okay then.
And of course, a guy who grew up fighting demigods in an arena. Hercules. We met Hercules in the Thor Love and Thunder post-credits scene where he was played brilliantly by Ted Lasso's Brett Goldstein.
That's a bad word, Uncle Roy.
Oh, mind your own business, Phoebe.
Now in that scene, Zeus was sending Hercules off to humble superheroes because mortals now worship the soups instead of the gods. But here's the thing, I seriously doubt we're going to get a Thor 5 during Phase 6, and they're going to want to introduce Hercules before all the crossover movies like Secret Wars start to happen. So I think that Hercules is going to pop up in this film, where he'll talk about wanting to fight Thor, which will kind of tease and set up their big battle when they do finally meet, probably in Avengers Kang Dynasty. This would also be a neat reverse of the Thor-Hawk dynamic in Ragnarok. In that movie, Thor was calm and Hawk was the angry one.
Just can't go around throwing shields at people. Could have killed me. No, sorry, I just get so angry all the time.
But in this one, it's the god who will be the hothead, and Hulk will have to calm him down. So I see Hercules being a fun side character in this movie. But the really important side characters will be the Eternals. Oh, look, I know, a lot of people didn't like the Eternals. I did, but it's okay if you didn't. But you have to admit, the movie ends on one heck of a cliffhanger. Erisham takes away Circe, Volko, Phastos, Kingo, and Sprite so he can scan their memories and learn if humanity is worth survival, while Druig, Makari, and Thena left to free the other Eternals from celestial rule. And then another Eternal, Eros, shows up with a teleporting troll played by Patton Oswalt.
Oh, my ears! My eyes are numb. No more drunk teleporting for you!
Eros tells them that he can help them find their friends and displays one of the orbs that the Celestials use to communicate with the Prime Eternal. So this orb is a conduit to the Celestials' forge, where they create the Eternals, create galaxies, and presumably watch a whole lot of Tron. This is a great setup for a movie. Harry Styles and Patton Oswalt lead a rogue bunch of space robots into the Temple of some gods to save their friends.
Shut up and take my money!
But because of the Eternals' mediocre box office and sour Rotten Tomatoes reviews, we're unlikely to get a direct sequel. But Kevin Feige has implied that we will see this story continue.
The impact that Eternals will have on the MCU will be nothing less than redefining.
So here's what I'm thinking. Sakaar is a hub to anywhere in the universe. The Celestial Forge is probably one of the hardest places in the universe to reach. So Star Fox leads the team to Sakaar, where they can take that Devil's Anus highway anywhere in the universe for the right price. Because the Devil's Anus is the most powerful wormhole, so it would also be the most expensive wormhole to travel through. And to earn money to fly through the Devil's Butt, they enter the Contest of Champions, and they clean up. This would allow them to meet Hercules, meet Hulk, and any other supporting characters that we want in the film.
But these plot lines have nothing in common. How could they tie together?
Well, think about it. Sakaar is being ruled by a power-hungry tyrant, and these Eternals possess the key to the greatest power in the universe, the Celestials. Maestro / Sakaar, whoever the villain is, would want to take the Eternal Prime Orb and invade the Forge for himself. Or maybe the Eternals really are just guest stars in the movie. We see them for a while, then they leave, and then we see more of their quest play out in another film or TV show. This is actually a lot like the comics, where a character might cross over for a few pages before ducking out into their own story. Now, I think Sakaar would actually be the perfect villain for this film for a few reasons. For one thing, the multiverse saga is all about the Avengers' past mistakes coming back to haunt them. Natasha abandoned Yelena. Steve didn't realize it would be hard for a black man to be Captain America. The Avengers didn't provide Wanda with any emotional support. Steven screwed around with the multiverse in No Way Home, and then dreamwalked in Multiverse of Madness. And Clint sends as Ronan came back to haunt him, and Thor had to reckon with the idea that the gods are kind of jerks, and they need to try to be better. And we can't forget that the Avengers created a variant of Loki that destroyed the sacred timeline and caused the rise of Kang the Conqueror.
You mess with time, it tends to mess back.
So Sakaar as a villain is a chance for Bruce to also face up to his mistakes. He abandoned his son on Sakaar.
I've abandoned my child! I've abandoned my boy!
And now that son is the embodiment of Bruce's worst qualities. He's invincible, prone to rage, and power hungry. He's a dark mirror of what Bruce Banner could become if he didn't find a way to keep balance with the other guy. Bruce Banner spent phases 1, 2, and 3 reckoning with this power he unleashed on the world, the Hulk. And now, unwittingly, he created an even worse monster. A superpowered, super smart child who received no guidance from his dad. And this movie will make Bruce stand up and be a father and pass what he knows on to the next generation. But that's just my theory for the movie. Let me know what you're looking forward to down in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe, smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.